Hi everyone, welcome to episode 3 of KepTalk. Happy New Year! We are in 2021. I am so excited for what this year has to offer me, to offer all of you. And without further ado, I'm just going to get right into our guest of today. Last month, I was able to speak to you all about insecurity, and we spoke to a female by the name of Annie, and she was able to talk to us about how her insecurity started, in middle school, and it had to do a lot with her appearance. But this time around, we're going to talk to a guy about his experience with insecurities and how he's dealt with it, and just some of the things he's experienced even in life. So I'm excited once again for you to hear what he has to say and what he has to offer. I really believe you all will learn a thing or two from this young man. So continue watching.
What's up, y'all? My name is Lanre. I am an 8th grade math teacher in North Philadelphia. I am also a writer, and I don't know, I do a lot of stuff. I guess that's what this is about. I have something to say. I placed you on pedestals built on limestones of my insecurities. I crowned you a better me because I was my own worst enemy. Stay tuned.
Hi Lanre.
Hey, Keps.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm honored. I really am. So let's jump right into today's conversation.
Okay.
And it's about insecurities, but from your point of view, from a man's point of view.
Yes.
And you opened your intro up with the poem, and I'm curious to know where that's from. What is all that about?
Well, so that's from my book.
Okay.
And it's coming out January 28th.
Okay.
Plug right there. It's called On Love, On Hope, and On Heartbreak. So that poem is about insecurity, and it's on heartbreak section, right? And so the book is about like observations that I've seen about those 3 topics and experiences that I felt about those 3 topics. So that poem is very personal to me because what happens is that one big aspect of my insecurities is that I look at other people and I compare myself to other people, right? And that has to do with like lost sense of identity and just thinking people are better than me and just so many other things that I'm sure we're gonna get into. Mm-hmm. But like I literally place other people on pedestals, and like based on my insecurities, like I look at my faults and I look at like the things that I think I'm lacking, and then if somebody else has it, I place them on this pedestal. And that's just me like being my own worst enemy. So that's like the whole concept of that poem.
Yeah. So what made you get to that realization? Because I feel like that, for you to get to that point, you had to, come to a place of deep reflection.
Oh yeah.
So can you kind of walk us through how you even got to this place? And also a place of ownership, right? Owning your insecurities.
Yeah. So one guy, I'm Christian. So,
yeah.
So like faith is a big part of that, right? So I think like God is always trying to grow me, and so there were some things I really had to get over in order to be, not to be deep, but like who He called me to be, you know?
You can be deep.
Yeah. Or like who I feel like is truest to myself.
Right.
And so I spend a lot of time just like comparing myself and beating myself down. And so I had to, like I wanted to change that, right? I wanted to be my own person, and I wanted to like live my own life, and I wanted to define success for myself. And so there were a lot of things that I had to do. So like prayer, I'm in therapy, so that really helps. And just really get to the root of like my insecurities and the roots of like the patterns and the thought processes that I continuously play in my head and challenging those thoughts. So that's like the fever pitch, right? Like the culmination of like 32 years of life, plus prayer, plus therapy, plus all of this, and just saying, no, I need to be okay with myself. And so this is like the resolve, like I'm starting to be okay with myself as a human being, and walking in it.
All right, so you mentioned getting down to the root.
Yeah.
So what is the root? And I ask that, right? I say that because I feel as though a lot of men, and I respect you for this, I really do. A lot of men are not in tune with their emotions, and you're somebody that is like very open with how you feel, and you know, you just have an emotional side, which we all have emotional sides, but you're okay with people seeing the emotional side of Lanre. And I think that, you know, things have to have happened, right, for you to get to that point. I don't think it happened overnight. I mean, you tell me, but I don't think it's happened overnight for you to like really be in tune with who Lanre is and being okay with it.
Yeah. So I think that comes from kind of always feeling like the black sheep. So if I was to run through like my life, like a short story or a movie, right? I came from like Nigeria. I came here in the 2nd grade. I was like an outcast because I had an accent, you know. Then high school, I was like, I'm dark skinned, so you know people were making fun of like dark skinned dudes, and like they knew I was African, and then like I was smart, but like I grew up in Newark, so it was just like that wasn't really okay. So it's just always been this outcast. So I think, and then like just Nigerian culture. I love Nigerian culture, but I think there's some aspects of Nigerian culture that lead to certain things, especially if you have a personality like mine. I think I'm a bit sensitive sometimes, and so what happens is that like I internalize things a different way, right? So you have to learn how to, you either shift, right, or you learn how to play the game, but then you start to lose sense of self. So I think I decided somewhere, maybe like after college, that like I don't, like this is who I am, so I just got to deal with me.
You're not playing the game anymore.
Yeah, like I'm not playing, like if I'm like I know there's certain things I deal with, I know like, but I know at least like I'm true to myself, right? Like I'm always gonna be true to my feelings. I actually learned that at like this church, right? Truth is everything. So like if I can be true to myself, then everything else just follows afterward, you know? That's kind of clear.
No, it's very clear. Yeah. Very clear. All right, so you brought up living in Newark, coming here from Nigeria when you were in 2nd grade.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's a lot for someone to deal with. I mean, I believe there's trauma when kids come over, you know, to a new country and literally have to start life all over again. Yeah. So, is there any like specific stories that you can share with me and whoever's watching that you remember that triggered, you know, the insecurities that you experienced growing up? Yeah,
so I can think of so many, but I'll give you the first time, right? So I'm 2nd grade, new to this country, and I'm like, you know, I think everybody's like super excited, is you know, for education, because that's Nigeria, right? Everybody in school like likes education, so you don't have to play it. So I sit next to this dude. I know his name still. We were like really cool actually afterwards. And so I'm like, I asked him, yo, can I have a sheet of paper? But my accent is so thick, right? So I'm like, yo, can I have a sheet of paper? And then he's like,
I'm sure it was way thicker than that.
Yeah, well, you know, like but,
over the years,
it's like, but like he's like you know, the evil light bulb goes off in the 8-year-old, right, or 9-year-old, whatever, however old he was, and then he was just like, wait, what? And I was like, you know, can I have a sheet of paper, right? Like, but he's like, I'm trying to say, can I have a sheet of paper, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, you should ask the teacher. So I go and I ask the teacher, excuse me, miss, can I have a sheet of paper? And then she's like, you know, gets like worked up because I cussed at her, right? Or I cussed and I was being slick. And I'm like, that was like the first, you know, you get it? Like that was like the first instance, right? So like, I guess what that did is it made me like just really self-aware from like a really like young age. Like, how am I presenting myself? And is it gonna negatively impact, you know, people's perception of me? Because like the first instance, you know, it did that. So, and I think there's been like patterns of that, right? I remember in 9th grade, earth science class, and we are like, people are crowded around like the science lab, like a small section, and they're laughing and they're giggling, and I'm like, yo, what are y'all laughing at? What are y'all laughing at? So I go, and it's pictures of me like swinging through trees. Like, when I say like people in Newark, it's just like, yo, like
What?
The hood is like just, well, not hood, but like Newark is like
People.
No, but like you talk about like kids. Kids are like hilarious, right? So, looking back on it, I could laugh, and I think even back then I tried to play it off like it was cool, but
Swinging.
yeah, like swinging. And so like there was a character on South Park called Mr. Hanky. I don't know if you watch South Park.
No. I mean, I've heard of it. But...
Okay, so I'm sure people know Mr. Hanky on South Park. So he's a turd essentially.
Okay.
I'm not, So they drew me as a turd. They were just like real creative. They drew me like on a grill because I'm dark skinned, just being like black. They drew because I'm African. They drew me like swinging through trees, and so again, like I'm like, oh snap, people's perception of me, right? Like they're looking at sort of like, how am I presenting? So now I'm just extra like cognizant of like what I'm presenting, right? Or how people are perceiving me, and it just makes me like a lot less like sturdy, So all of that, I guess, over the years, like it compounds, and so it's like Lego blocks, right? Like the kid, 8 years old, 13,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And then, later on in high school, then I'm sure in college, there might have been moments there too. Yeah.
I mean, but college then is other things, right? Like my grades weren't great in college, and that's like blasphemy for like the Nigerian women. So like then it's just like, oh man, like I'm not good enough, man. Oh, I'm extra aware, like oh man, how people. So it's just like all these insecurities and all this like hyper focus on just presentation of self and
to other people.
Not
even for Lanre.
Yeah.
It's just how is person A and person B going to see me, and what is their I guess vision of me.
Yeah, but then now their vision of me is where I get my validation, right? So it turns back on the negative head, like, yo, if they don't think I'm dope, then I'm not dope, right? So if I'm not dope, how can I make it? So there's all these, like, it's just this clockwork of,
So pretty much you've put a whole lot of expectations, right? Because
oh yeah, for sure.
On how people see you.
Yes. And so and I think that's a great point. I have crazy expectations for myself, right? Like just crazy, and like I go to therapy, right? I think I said that earlier, and even my therapist is like, you have way too many expectations for yourself, because I'm like, I feel like I need to be perfect, right? In shape, perfect. I feel like I need to prove to everybody that I'm smart because I didn't do so well in college. But like, that's not me. I was just playing around in college. Like I'm smart for real.
Yeah.
Like So I'm trying to just show. And in the background, my soul is like, but what about us? You know what I mean? Like, so
your mental state.
Yeah.
Probably like, what about me? What?
Yeah. So I'm trying to like figure all of that out, and it took so long to get to this place, right? Where I'm just like bump everybody else. Just you owe yourself you, right? And so even like I know what to do, like I know what I want to do, I know the things I want to do, right? But I always second guessed it and questioned it because I needed people's outside validation, because that's how I've kind of been raised, from my circumstances, from my environment,
from the stories that you just shared.
From the stories, and those are just 2 stories out of maybe like 20 stories, right?
Probably even more.
Yeah. So so that's just where I guess all of that came from.
So when did you realize you pretty much can't meet people's expectations? Like when was Lanre's like aha moment? When did the light bulb actually light up in your head?
So when like a light bulb flickers. So there's moments, right, where like you get that epiphany, and then it turns off because of life. I think just during COVID, right, the light is on, and now it's staying on, where I'm just like, I can't meet people's expectations. So I would say I can't even point, because I'll read an article, right, or I'll listen to somebody, or somebody will try to big me up, be like, no, like, Lanre, you're great, like you're dope. And at that moment, because they're giving me that validation, I feel it. But then it disappears when they disappear, right? Or if something bad happens. So now I'm changing the light source. That's good. I'm changing the light. I'm changing the light source, right? The source of electricity. So like now it's me that's telling myself, no, bro, you're dope. know what? I saw so cheesy, like, and dudes probably don't do this, but I used to watch Being Mary Jane.
Okay.
And she had this thing where she put post-its on her mirror.
Yes.
So I actually had to do that. Like, I was like, yo, you gotta like tell yourself. And it's like this battle where you have to just continue like fighting those like thoughts in your head. Like, yo, I'm not good enough. I'm not good. But literally with, I am good enough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm smart. And it sounds cheesy, but it works. And I feel like after a while, it's like an engine. Like, it's puttering, then it's like, vroom, vroom. Then it starts to move. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna talk to literally I'll be like, I'm not going to talk to myself crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you got to be intentional about this thing. So let's kind of talk about your, I don't want to say personal, but like career and, you know, like that aspect. Like, was there an impact in that area of your life? So, you know, career, relationships, because I'm sure this had to affect you in, you know, other areas.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you could go, you know.
Yeah, I'm an open book. You guys know I'm open. So, I'm not that open. I'm not going to put people's names. Like,
no.
emails and text messages. Like, no.
You don't want to get sued now.
Nah.
You know.
Yeah, so I'd say career first, all right?
Yeah, let's start there.
I went to school for medicine, right? At 16, I was in my parents' house in the dining room, and I'm like, I want to be an actor, right? And then that's met with like the force of Nigerian, right? Like, no, it's not happening. I mean, now it's 2020 and all these actors are Nigerian, and I'm hating low key, but I'm like, I want to be an actor. And I'm not gonna say that, but like, it was just like the weight, you know, my parents never said, we want you to be a doctor, right? But everybody now knows the trope of, if you're Nigerian,
they don't even have to say it.
Yeah, they don't exactly, and you feel it. You feel the weight. You're either a lawyer, a doctor, or an engineer, right? And so
the three careers.
Yeah, and in my personality, I was like, oh well, then I fit into a doctor role. So, and then or whatever in field. So I went to school for like exercise science. I was the goal was to be like either a DPT or like an ortho, right? Because I wanted something like athletic and sports. And man, I sucked at like, I hated bio. I hated chemistry.
Bio at Rutgers.
I still hate like the TA. And she's the reason I failed, but I'm not even gonna get into that, right? Like, I was good at physics, which is interesting. The classes I was good at, like anthropology, right? All these human like things, right? I took acting class, right? And I used to like when I took classes at Mason Gross, right? And Mason Gross was like this really good school. So like I should have discovered myself in college, but it was like I was going against this wall of like, nah, this is what I'm supposed to be. And meanwhile, the whole time I'm failing like, this is what I'm supposed to be, but it's not loving me back. Like the grades look horrible, you know. And then finally, like I had to switch into public health, and I graduated like a degree in public health, right? Okay. And so, career-wise, I'm like, all right, I'm out of college. Let's try this acting thing, right? So I did it for like a year and a half. I was taking classes in New York, which is dope. I was in these classes with these actors. I got into a really good acting class with Win Handman. It was like he trained like some really prominent actors. Oh, wow. But it never really panned out. Or I felt that pressure. I was like, this is not a real thing, right? I didn't have that long-term game where it was like, I need to struggle. I was like, no, I need to make money and make like a life out of myself. Like I'm Nigerian. Like that internal pressure. Like I'm Nigerian. I need to be like making money. So like I got into supply chain, right? Because my cousin had a hookup, so he got me a job. Okay. So I was working like for UPS. It was a cool job. I used to literally fall asleep at my desk. But I hope he doesn't watch this like before. You know what I'm saying? But like, and he was a black dude. First great boss. He used to be like, yeah, like,
same for you.
Yeah, like you can't sleep on, like you don't have to tell you this. Like I did good work, but he's like, I don't have to tell you this.
So wait, let me stop you right there. Yeah. So you pretty much were running, like wherever the bag was at, that's what you were running towards. And it wasn't like, let me figure out what Lanre wants to do, what God wants Lanre to do. It was more of like, I'm chasing the bag.
Absolutely. And you know, you just convicted me because I feel like I'm still chasing the bag a little bit. right? So now I got to go pray. Because like, dang, Kep,
I mean, again, listen, God wants us to, be comfortable. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is in alignment to God's will and purpose for your life.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, that's just what it is. But I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
Continue.
Where was that? I think then I went to. So long story short, how I got to Philadelphia. I hated the job. I hate the job. I was while I was working at UPS, I was still like modeling and stuff. Like I was just going to like different like auditions and shoots and stuff, and it was just shifting my attention and focus from the work I had to do, right? And so it was a contract position. They were like, "Yeah, we're not going to renew your contract." It's like, "Oh wow, okay, I need a job." So I was out of work for a while. Then I got a job in Philadelphia, right? And so I moved to Philadelphia under some different like pretenses because I was trying to escape too. Really big. But,
no.
So I go to Philadelphia. The job is horrible. It pays decent. Horrible type of job. I'm people's bosses. They start to the people that work under me, right? They're like African immigrants and like Indian, and then when they find out that I'm African, like all authority goes out the window. They're like, "Oh, you're my son. Yeah. Oh, go!" Right? And I'm like, "No, you don't gotta work. They're like, "Okay, yeah." But at the same time, they're like, just, oh man, like just like they'd be working for hardworking people, right? Working 40 hours, making crap. Like minimum wage sucks, and they'd be like, Lanre, can you help me fill out this paperwork so they can get some like extra help or like maybe like food stamps and stuff like that? And that's just heartbreaking. I was like, I can't do this no more. I'm about to quit. So my boy, shout out to Trent, he was just like, yo, there's a position open at a school, a charter school in Philly, and he was like, it's part time, it pays decent, it pays okay, but like at least you won't have a job if you have a job when you quit. Right. So I was like, all right, so let me go to it. And I've been there ever since, like going on 5 years. So,
oh wow.
Yeah. So that's just how I got into education. So it was a journey.
Yeah, definitely was a journey. Yeah. But education might be where. We'll leave that one.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like maybe. But I know now, like I'm 32, right? I'm about to be 33 really, really soon, my Jesus year. And I'm like, there's things I want to accomplish. At least try. Like Toby, he always be like, yo, you gotta do whatever you want. Like, you gotta do what you want to do, right? Yeah. I remember he used to say that, like, at Rock Off, he said that, like, when we have conversations and stuff. And so, like, now's the time, right? I gotta try. And
you never want your insecurities to stop you from trying. From at least trying. Yeah. All right, so maybe we could go into relationships.
Okay.
So explain to us, how your relationships have been impacted.
So the one that had the most effect was about 2 years ago. And I'm laughing because people are going to watch this. People are going to know. So there's this woman that I met at an outdoor party, and I had a lot of swag then. I go up and I'm dancing. And I'm like, "Hey, you should talk to me." Like, real cool, real like swaggy. And she's like, "Why?" The game. And then I'm like, "Nah, like I'm a good guy. I'm a nice guy. Like you'll enjoy yourself." And she's like, "All right, yeah." So she gives me a number and we go to a date. And so I'm like, "All right, cool." And at the date, I'm just like, I put myself out on the table real fast, as I normally do, right? Like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I stand, these are my stipulations. She's like, "Oh, okay, like, I can try to see if that works out for me." So, the relationship starts, or the situationship, right? And she's super smart, super beautiful, a programmer at a farm company, right? Making money. Like, I go to an apartment, I'm like, oh snap, right? Like, I see her car, like because one day she had to drop me off at home, and the car is just like this 2-door Lexus, black on black, and I'm just sitting at the passenger seat, uncomfortable, like, yo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we had so many conversations, and one of the conversations, she was like, yo, what is one of the things that you regret? And I was like, the way I failed college, right? And I'm speaking, you know, very dramatic. I didn't fail college, but like I didn't pass like the way I needed to. Mm-hmm. And so she hears that, and she's just like, now looking back at it, I think she's trying to help me out, right? Mm-hmm. She's like, you know, you can still go, because my biggest regret was like not doing well in college, right? Mm-hmm. For some reason, I'm just like, I should have just aced out college, and I did not. And it's not because I'm not smart. And I think that it's a stain on like my perception of intelligence, because I know I'm smart, but like my grades don't reflect it. And you know, all right. So she comes and she's on the phone. She's like excited, like, you know, you can still go to like med school, right? Like you can still.
This was 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's about like 2 years ago, a year and some shit. And she's like, you can still go to med school, and you can still like, you know, there's ways around it. And she's like excited. But what I hear is like, oh, I'm not good enough for you. You want me to be a doctor so bad. Why you want me to be a doctor so bad? I told you, like, I don't want to be a doctor no more. It's just my biggest regret. And like, that was like
the end.
And I felt that she felt it, you know? And it was just like an insecurity and projection ramped up, right? Because I'm like, yo, I'm not good enough for this woman who obviously has everything, right? And it's that type of woman, right, that's beautiful, smart, like intelligent, the same thing, like accomplished. That's the word I was looking for. It's like, what can I have to offer, right? And we had a good time together, right? It was a good time, but like I was just like, what can Lanre bring to the table? If it's not money, what's it, you know? So,
can you say you regret that situation in your life? Is that a regret for you?
Yes and no. Yes, because I feel like it wasn't supposed to work out, because spiritually we're not compatible. She was like a whole different religion, so it's like, you know, that's probably, you know, God too. But she was open to it though, right? She was like, yo, maybe I can like think about it. So, but I didn't let that transpire. So
because of your insecurity.
Because of mine, and so like I blame it like 100%. And so it rears up, man. It rears up, especially like with women that I'm enamored by, right? Like, it's like, yo, what do I have to offer? People will tell me, like my mom and my aunt will tell me, like, no, they're lucky, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I'm
because
like,
it's not always about the money and what you could bring to somebody financially. I get that, and I understand what you're saying, but there's also, you know, there's more to a relationship than money.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And it's not that I'm not a bit like, there's things I'm trying to do and accomplish. I think patience is a part of it. Like I have to just wait till these things play out. But I look at myself at the current moment, and like the poem I said, I place people on pedestals, right, based on my insecurities. And so if they're standing on the things that I'm wary about, it's just gonna look a lot different than I need it to be.
So it's like you're not in the same kind of playing field.
Same level, right?
Same level,
But it's a thing, you know, like in society, level up. I gotta level up. He's not on my level. She's not on my level. Like, get on my level, right?
Levels everywhere.
Levels, and one of my boys just always says, "There's how things should be. Like it shouldn't matter, right? But then there's how things really are, and that's just, you have to match that with being content with knowing who you are. So it's a lot to juggle, and it's a lot to.
And it goes back to your point about identity in the beginning. And you know, ultimately, you know, I don't mean to take us back, like, you know, to the spiritual side of it, but it's important, right? Ultimately, our identity is in Christ Jesus. And I think, you know, I can only speak for myself. For me, when I understood that wholeheartedly, that I don't really care how everyone sees me, as long as, you know, I understand who my maker is, and I'm doing my very best, you know, to have a Christ-like identity. That's all that matters. And again, I don't mean to sound cheesy and all of that, but really, in order for me to remain sane and not compare myself to every single person that I see on social media or in my family or wherever they might be, I had to be grounded in who I was as a believer. So that's just for me personally.
And for me, it's like that wasn't always a tangible thing, right? Because it's ethereal. You're like, what you just saying, like,
I'm God's child.
Yeah, God loves me. It shouldn't matter. But it's like, it doesn't feel like something physical that I can hang my hat on and be like, okay, like I know that I'm made in God's image, and because of that, I don't have to care what I look like in front of people and stuff like that. It just now is starting to become tangible, become real, and be like, no, like God made me a certain way, so like you can't. It's almost like you're disrespecting God. Like, yo, God, why you make me this way? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why'd you make me hypersensitive? Why'd you make me like?
You're sensitive. Right, God made you that way.
Why'd you make me write words and like poems? Like, and I tell everybody, like, every time I be like, what do you write? I'll be like, I write poems. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I know how it looks. I mean, that's not all I write, but like, or I'm a writer, or like, I'm very like.
You wear your heart on your sleeve.
And to this day, even my brother would be like, yo, you just out. And I'm like, yo, this is how I am, and I have to be okay. And I'm 6'2" and I'm black, and I present a certain way, right? But when people get to know me, they're like, oh, you just like, man, like
nice.
Yeah, like, that's what I get. And I'm like,
nice.
But like, I don't want to be mean, like, and I can play that role. Like, we were talking earlier, and then like, it was a situation that happened with like a certain young lady, and then I'm like, I might just be out here. And I'm about to like just be what everybody wants me to be. Like, you want me to be that dude? I'm about to be that dude. I'm not about to care about no feelings, nothing. 2 weeks later, like because I prayed, right? God, like, no, shit.
Your heart.
Yeah. So I'm just like, and I'm like, that's not who I am, Even if I try to be like that, it's not who I am. I just be uncomfortable because like if I like text wrong. Like, damn, I'm sorry, like, did I hurt your feelings? Like, I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
So I have a question for you. And thank you for opening up about relationships. Because I feel as though people will be watching.
I mean, it's either going to be very good for me or like not sure. You know what I mean? Like,
be the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But when in a relationship for Lanre is the right time to let, the girl know, the woman know that you have some insecurities that you're dealing with?
I don't think right away. Like, I don't think you come out the gate, like, first, like, look, this is what I'm dealing with. But I think it comes out when, like, the feelings start to, like, cement. And you're like, yo, I'm feeling this person, right? Or, yo, I see something with this person. Not like I'm trying to marry the person, but, like, I want more. Like, it's not just a 2-week situation. And so if I see this person as like a good possibility for my end goal, right? Then it's like, all right, this is who I am. Like I know you see all this, and this is me too, but like sometimes like I want you to know the bad part so you know everything you're getting, right? And I think the fear of that is like you lose control because you don't have a say on how the person responds.
So do you wish you told, the example you just gave us with the girl, encouraging you really to go to med school again, to try it. Did you let her know about your insecurities, or she didn't even know you were dealing with?
She didn't know I was dealing with until I reacted that way.
Okay.
And she was like, whoa.
Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? Like, you seem like you just chill, dude.
Yeah.
And then like I had to explain to her that like, no, this is, and like
you triggered something.
Yeah. But to her, I think she had some things she was dealing with because she was just like, no, right? She was like, so that insecurity, that sharing, now the decision rests in her hands. And then she just decided a different way, which she had every right to, right? Like, that's just life, and you can't control the outcome. And I think like everybody tries to control the outcome in some sense. Like, if I hold this off, then she's not gonna know that, like, then I can do. But if you're like, no, just it's on the table. Like,
this is who I am.
This is who I am, and like I'm working towards it though. Like, it's not just that. It's nah, it's me. Like, I'm like, nah, this is who I am, but I'm actively working. Like, I'm in therapy. Like, I'm chasing after my dreams now. Like, I see a sense of myself, and I want to do these things. But you get to leave right here if you want. Like, do you want to take that journey with me, or
no?
Or nah? And I can't be mad. And you want to be mad. You be like, nah, man, she gonna hate. Yeah. Oh man, when I was on the bottom, how would that Drake John go? Now I'm hot. They all on me. Yeah, but like,
I don't know the words. I don't know the lyrics. Because I'm not good with lyrics. But no, I get.
But you can't even be mad if they're like, no, this is like, because some people have pictures of how they want their life to be.
And how they want their partner to be.
Yeah, so
and the areas of life where they want their partner to be secure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I listen, right? I observe and I hear what. I can't say that I know better because I have a lot of like lady friends, and like I can't talk for a woman, but from what I'm hearing, what I'm picking up is that women want a man that's secure in himself and like confident. That's what I'm assessing, right? And so like I want to be secure. I'm getting to a point where I'm secure in myself and I'm confident, but it's because now I have an understanding of who Lanre is that took a long time. Because like they don't know the history, right? They didn't get that far away.
They weren't with you in second grade.
They weren't with you
in ninth grade. They weren't with you in college. Yeah.
And so yes, maybe if somebody I think it takes a really strong type of woman to be like, yo, not only do I see you now and I'm okay with it, but I see where you can go and I'm willing to take that journey with you. It's not everybody.
Yeah. And honestly, it's really vice versa too.
Yeah.
Like women want a secure man, but men also want a secure woman.
Yeah.
You know, it really goes, you know, sometimes we try to say like, this is what men want, this is what women want. But to me personally, I feel like we all want the same thing. And the same way you just said, you're looking for a woman that can say, you know what, I'm ready to take the journey with you. It's the same thing, you know. Women are looking for men that will say, you know what, yes, I know you have insecurities with maybe the way you look and whatever it might be. Like when you get married and have kids, your wife's body's gonna change, and that could be an insecurity for her. But we want a man to say, you know what, it's okay. You still are as beautiful. The very first day I met you, you're still just as beautiful. So it's both ways. We all want the same thing, you know. Okay, so we've said a lot.
Yes.
Today, and I feel like we need a part 2 or something. Like,
I'm always down.
But how did all of this affect your mental health? I know you said you were in therapy.
Yeah.
So how did it affect your mental health, and is the therapy working?
So I think sometimes if you've been walking around with like bricks on your back for a long time, you don't realize that you've been walking heavy for a long time. But then when somebody starts taking the bricks out and you're like, oh snap, like I can walk. This how you're supposed to feel when you walk, like literally like lighter. And I think that's what therapy has done for me. It's like, yo, these are the things, and it's not this magical pill because I still very much need Jesus. I still very much need to pray, but like I can point out the things I need to pray about and even do the work, some of the work for myself, right? So like that's what therapy is. It's like, yo, first of all, let's separate the truth from your internalization of the truth, and then let's work on the root of these things, and then let's talk about the thought patterns that you play in your head. Because like if you're telling yourself 900 times a day that yo, you're stupid or you're not good enough, you're gonna think that you're stupid or not good enough because you're listening to yourself the most, you know. So
I'm gonna ask you 4 questions and answer them as honest as you could be.
Gotcha.
So my first question is, what insecurities are you dealing with today?
If I answer real fast, I say still not making the amount of money I want to be making. But I think that'll come. So I think that's a better place I'm at. I think it's gonna come. But it's gonna come doing the things I want to actually do, you know, not just chasing the bag.
Okay, good. Next question. What would you tell your younger self?
I'd say do a creative arts degree and take science classes at Rutgers. And then I just say, like, bro, you gotta love yourself first, but you're already dope. Like, focus on what you want to do and just go after it. Because the 10-year game, you're gonna get where you're supposed to be. So, like, forget the girls, forget looking at everybody else. Just worry about you and enjoy what you're doing. Like, enjoy what you want to do.
What would you tell a man that is also dealing with insecurities? What advice would you give them? Counsel?
I'd say, one, do get better, right? Because there are things that you feel like you have to improve on, most likely. Like, do those things. But I think the most confidence is going to come from understanding who you are, and then going for the things that make you happy, right? And not even just happy, the things that are aligned to how you were made and what you think you were put on this planet to do. Like, I think that's the safest way. Like, improve. I always feel like everybody should improve. Like, always be improving, but just love yourself, man. And then go to therapy, because everybody needs therapy. Like, seriously, I think everybody needs therapy. So, yeah.
And God is the best therapy.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the last question I'm going to ask you is, have you gotten to a point where you accepted who God has created Lanre to be, and not what the world may say, not what social media might say, not what your peers might say or what they're doing? Have you fully accepted who God has created you to be?
I think I'm still trying to figure out what God wants me to do,
Okay.
which is crazy, but like, I don't
No,
know.
it's not crazy.
But I feel like I'm becoming okay with like who God has made me, right? Like, I'm really loving, right? Like, I wear my heart on my sleeve. Like, I am a creative. It's been so hard to say that, but I am, like, I'm a creative by nature, but like not necessarily like the super artsy type, and I think this last year, towards the end of December, I made that my mandate. Like, I want to be a man of love. I want to be a man of joy. I want to be a man that like lives out like I'm a believer. Like, that's who I am, and that's so central to who I am, right? Like, and you'd be surprised how many times I tried to hide that, but that, like, that's who I am. Like, I'm trying to be just purely me, like no watered down version. Like, this is who I am, and I want to show that it can still be done in whatever I do, right?
Like, it can still be dope.
Yeah, like, I can be a nice businessman. Like,
Yeah.
I can love people, and
Yeah.
like, just because I present a certain way, or like I'm in a certain field, or like, I can still be me. And I think that's the best. And the me points back to God, right? Like, and I think that's just the best witness, right? Like, it's who God made me. Like, I'm not gonna change it for nobody. So
I love that. You have you said it really well. You really have. And I think that's the best advice you could give somebody. And the people watching, that was good.
yeah.
So tell us about your book. Tell us about your book. Tell us what Lanre is doing.
Okay.
Share with the people.
So the cat is out the back, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, surprise! Everybody. No,
There's a book.
there's a book. I've been working on a book this whole time. No, so there's a poetry book. That's the first book. I'm not gonna talk too much about the others to come, but the first one is called On Love, On Hope, and On Heartbreak. And it's a poem based on observations that I've seen and things that I've experienced on those three topics. It comes out January 28th. It is with a publisher. Shout out to Elijah. It's going to be on Amazon. More information to come. Follow me on, can I give my Instagram?
Absolutely. Give it all. Share everything.
So help me too, because like I'm trying to change my Instagram too, but like right now it's because I need my like regular name, because my my Instagram name is Nombre Huey, right? So
Okay.
NOM as a mother, BRE.
And we'll definitely put it in the
because I'm slowing down.
in the
HUEY.
description.
So like you're gonna see updates, and I'm so excited because I'm like, it took so long to happen. But it's the first, like, I think it's just going to start a tidal wave for me, like, doing the things I want to do. So I want to keep writing, and I want to, like, produce, and I want to, like, business, right? Like, I got back in school, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So, like, there's just different things that I'm trying to get done. Like, I want to be, like, a creative businessman. And so part of that is like writing, and writing is the first step. So it's like I'm breaking through a wall finally, right? Like, not to be cheesy, I think 2021 is a year of change for a lot of people.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
like COVID at its home, like at home, we had too much time to think. Do I really want to do this with the rest of my life? And so I think that was a gift from God in like this really hard time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, all right, I know who I am.
Yeah.
Crazy, all of 2020. I know what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy, I didn't really do that before, and I feel like I know where I'm gonna go. Right, so I feel good. Like that's please, if you love me, please buy the book.
We're getting like 20 copies.
Please buy the book.
We're gonna get like 20 copies, and I mean, I'm proud of you.
And I'm proud of you, because this is like I tell you all the time, like 50 million times, like this is amazing. I think you guys are doing something amazing here.
Thank you. So you heard Lanre. Get the book. Get the book. Support him. He has my full support. Thank you, Lanre.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, and I believe you're gonna be on the show again, because there's just so many topics that I think we can definitely talk about in the future.
I'll come back anytime.
So thank you. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you once again for joining me on episode 3 of KepTalk. I hope you had a good time and enjoyed yourself, enjoyed the conversation. Please look out for another video with the KepTalk with my gems that I love to share with you all. That will be out later on this week. Thank you, and have a wonderful week, y'all.